Identity theft on the road can happen to you, and we know this because it just happened to us. I just figured I could deal with it later. I didn't realize there was this moisture in here, and we can see daylight, which tells me one thing, that some jerk who didn't know what the heck they were doing had a
Chicken Little decided not to do it.
That has nothing to do with it.
What's wrong with the dump station?
We're not going to show you, but there's toilet paper shreds everywhere on the ground, which tells me one thing, that some jerk who didn't know what the heck they were doing had a blowout here, and they didn't properly clean it up, but that's 100% preventable. I mean, mistakes happen, but it goes a good 5 feet or 7 feet away from the dump hole itself, which means they were a good distance away, and they probably just let her rip. And they didn't have a hose, or their hose didn't have an elbow on it. You know, the people who they just have some loose hose that looks like it's 100 years old. So that's really gross. So thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
But they have this thing right there where they could have washed it out.
They could have washed it out, but they did not.
Also, we discovered that this is not free. You have to pay, as of today, $10. All right, y'all, here at this dump station, you can also get potable water right here. And they've got it far enough away from the dump station, which is good. Here is the parking lot. It's like a prison museum now. I don't know when it stopped being an official prison, but we hope when we come back we can go to it. It's called the Wyoming Territorial Prison. All right, y'all, I'm fixing to give you a tour of our site here at Indian Campground and RV Park here in Buffalo, and it is hot, so let's go outside where it's hot. All right, the sites are gravel with grass in between, and they provide you a picnic table with your neighbor's sewer and their water hookup, and their power is going to be right here. No one's pulled into this site yet. I don't know if we're gonna get a neighbor on this side, but we're in site K5, I think. They say the sites are 70 feet, but I don't think they're that long. So the truck's like right here, and they don't want you to park on the grass. And this section right here is the satellite section. There's no trees over the RVs here. And then that section over there has trees, which I think they're cottonwood trees. Here is our hookup side. There's our water. There's the sewer. And there is the electric. Not much room in this campground. But I noticed there is a creek running behind us. And currently right now there are no mosquitoes, but look at that. Did not know that was behind us, so I guess we have like a creek site. Good morning, y'all.
Good warm morning to you.
So we are heading to our boondocking spot this morning. And for those of y'all that have been following along for a while, this was our very first wild, quote, camping boondocking spot.
Like a non-Cracker Barrel, non-Harvest Hose type thing.
Like out in the wilderness. Y'all.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So up a mountain pass too. Speaking of, we went to check it out yesterday just to make sure the roads were fine. I remember the first time we took the RV up this mountain pass, I was terrified. Now we went up it and I'm like...
She was, I wasn't.
I'm like, this is nothing, because we have so much experience now with mountain passes and stuff.
This is a baby mountain pass.
And then the road to get in there, we were so green, like we kind of, once we got in there, we kind of got off the road immediately and kind of took one of the front spots, and now we took the road in there. The road is great.
It's great.
We're like, we can even go further in. I'm like, this is good compared to like this boondocking spot we just left in Laramie. So I think either they fixed the roads or we were really green back there. We're like, oh no, it's a bump. We can't do it. You know what I mean?
Compared to most of our boondocking spots, this one is really, the roads are good. I mean, it's really well laid out.
Are you ready to get out of another Tide Harvey's park?
How do we keep doing this to ourselves?
Yeah.
We've done it before. I know we can do it this time, so let's get it.
At least we know our neighbor, so don't get too close to his truck, right?
Oh, I know. See, you don't mind ruining a stranger's truck, but you don't want to ruin your friend's truck. That's different, right?
Yeah, right.
Tell me if I'm right. I'm just kidding.
In bug paradise.
There's always a price to be paid when you're in a beautiful area, and usually it's bugs. I kind of wish it was wind, because then there wouldn't be so many bugs, but no wind. It's supposed to be 13 miles an hour and all we get is a gentle breeze, so
And this is Grouse Mountain. This is the first place we boondocked 2 years ago. This time we're in a different spot. We're closer to the mountain now because the road's a little bit better.
So you can see we're still setting up. And look who came to greet us. I hope you can hear me over the wind. Hamburger came to see us, y'all. Look at that. Isn't that nice of him? Ooh, I see horns on them cows too. They're not long horns, but they're some horns nevertheless. Joy. All right, look at this. Where is it? There we go. Which one of these is not like the others? Isn't that cool? Oh, and there's a baby running to catch up.
All right, y'all. I let the slide out and you can see a little dark discoloration and I touched it and it feels a little damp. Would you say it was wet or just damp?
A tiny bit moist. The floor feels solid. It feels the same as the rest of the floor, but this little piece of trim was a little bit askew, okay? And that's how she noticed it. I noticed the trim that was askew. I noticed it before we left, but I just figured I could deal with it later. I didn't realize there was this moisture in here. And we can see daylight. This does not go directly to the outside. I don't know where it goes. You can see daylight. Daylight comes from somewhere, but I'm going to go ahead and use some silicone. We have some all-purpose window and door silicone. This will be good. This is obviously the hard wall. It is not the slide. And we just got here, so this is going to be more than dry, more than settled by the time we leave. But I'm going to do my due diligence. Silicone and whatever else doesn't stick well to dirt. So I'm going to clean this up. All right, that's pretty good.
So another question people might ask, where do you think the moisture came from?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's not like a water leak or anything. Not that. Just a little bit like if you took a wet paper towel and wiped a countertop off, not even that moist. So
maybe a piece of ice fell over there.
It very well could be. Silicone tends to be able to be reused. Dicor, forget it. Unless you use it all right then and there, it's just, I have never successfully saved Dicor, but I always am able to save silicone. And I'll probably just reuse that. And yes, I know, you're probably saying, listen, I've seen a few of your episodes by now. Don't you have a laundry list of stuff you have to fix? I do. But when it comes to siliconing something up or filling in a gap, making sure no moisture comes in from somewhere, that really does take priority. You got to jump on that. If you ever see anything wrong with your roof, jump on that right away. Certain things take priority. Fixing the drawer that I should have fixed like a year and a half ago, not my priority right now.
Because it doesn't...
It doesn't leak. It's not hurting anything. All right, let's see how many times I'm going to have to play with this. That's what we want to see. Yeah, right there.
Did it stop again? In this episode of Broken Dreams Reborn.
3 hours of caulking 6 inches. All right. that wasn't painful at all. Note to self, this did save, but it only gave me like an inch at a time. So,
Are you throwing it away then?
yes. When in doubt, use a hammer and duct tape. There. My aim was to put it under the wall to make sure nothing comes in, no moisture comes in. I don't feel any more give to the floor here than I do anywhere else.
All right, well, I present to you Grouse Mountain. It's like we're on the set of, let me squat down low, Sound of Music. And you can really smell these flowers. Oh, these wildflowers smell so nice. The grass is really high here too. We stayed here 2 years ago. This was our first boondocking site. Look at this. So pretty. The mountains behind us. We've got Starlink out this time. And we have other RVers that are here too, but it's not that busy, and it's like, what is today, y'all? It's July 14th, I think. Look at the mountains. All right, y'all, I hope you can hear me. I'm up on the roof, so I can give you a rooftop tour of Grouse Mountain boondocking. Look at all those mountains. You can still see snow on those mountain peaks up there. This is the Bighorn Mountain Range. All right, y'all, we are out in our yard.
That's right, this is our yard.
The Sound of Music yard. We are going down to, I don't know if it's a creek or a river. We used to do this when we came here 2 years ago all the time.
Yes, we did.
And we're testing out Matthew's leg.
Yes, we are. And it was hurting this morning, and it's hurting a little bit now, but it's like I've gotten 95% of the way better. And the last little bit is just stubborn. It won't do it. So I'm like, I'm not going to wait forever for this. So if my leg moves, I move.
So we are walking literally through a field of flowers to get to the trail. Instead of going all the way to the trailhead, we're just cutting this way from the RV. Oh, and we contacted one of our friends in Mississippi who's a cattle expert. And he said they were yak that we saw with the long tails.
To the best of his ability, they are yaks. So the long bushy tails and the short horns. So
thanks, Rick, for your expertise.
Yep.
You probably like you contacted somebody from Mississippi. Yeah, he knows. All right, y'all, we made it to the main attraction. I think you can get to the river if you keep going down the trail. All right, y'all, I'm setting creekside. I don't know if you can see my foot. I'm still getting in the creek. Here's my feet. Y'all probably like, where's Matthew? Where's Matthew?
hey,
He didn't want to get in the creek.
no, the flies are really horrendous around here, so I'm just surviving.
But y'all, this water is ice cold, so it really cools you off putting your bare feet in it. And this is in our backyard, right?
Yep, it's our backyard.
There's some fly fishers down there. You can smell the forest a little bit. The mosquitoes are not bad here. You think it's because the water's just moving?
Last time we were here, I remember the mosquitoes being worse. This time, they're almost non-existent. It's just flies.
All right, y'all, that's amazing, soaking your feet in a cool mountain creek. Chicken Little decided not to do it.
That has nothing to do with it. I am being assaulted by flies,
And
so I couldn't stay still long enough to enjoy it.
And I tell him it's because he's wearing dark colors.
That's voodoo.
Everybody knows when you come into the forest, don't wear dark clothing, wear light colored clothing. It's kind of cool down here too, like you can feel the coolness of the water coming off, you know, when the little bit of a breeze blows by.
Yeah, this is just amazing.
The last time we did this, like he said 2 years ago, I had to keep stopping. I'm like, I'm dying.
Me too.
So even though he's been out of commission for a couple months, we did pretty good.
And that's to say, if you can't do this kind of stuff all the time, find a hill in your neighborhood, find a street that's a slight bit challenging for you. And if you do stuff on a semi-regular basis, because y'all know we don't do this on a regular basis, it still has some long-term benefits.
Yes.
Which is a blessing.
And here is the RV. And Matthew, I see a bunch of RVs coming down the road. Update, update.
So y'all remember this piece of trim and we said there was a little moisture? Well, we found out where it came from.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Refrigerator.
Uh-oh.
Now there's nothing wrong with the fridge, but we had taken a few water bottles because we just didn't have room to stand them up, and we laid them down. And, you know, one thing leads to another, and we found a few drips that went down the side, landed on the bottom, and then probably just drizzled out over here. So at least I took the opportunity to fix this. It's caulked in with silicone, so this ain't budging, at least not for a good long while. There's no water problem. It was a concern. It's not a concern now. Yay.
So, not all the time, but the moral of the story, sometimes it can just be something so simple, right?
It really can. It doesn't mean it's doom and gloom and the end of the world. It's just a water bottle. Y'all, sometimes it just doesn't pay to be in the wrong spot. I'm not going to zoom in, but look at that. These people, just for reference, are too far away. And I have a feeling they just got the knock because that white truck is Forestry Service. I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep you updated if they stick around.
And when you mean by too far away, you mean
they're too far away from the road that goes through the camping area. Here's an update. We showed you the video, I believe we showed you the video of the Ranger being back there. These fine folks over here are not so fine. They're camping more than 300 feet back from the 2-track road. And this is one of the areas that they do take care of. There is no trash to be seen on the ground. The Ranger stopped by and talked to us and said, yeah, she gave them the boot. They got to move. They're not caked out, but they're going to move closer in. And we noticed last night that these knuckleheads, you see how tall the grass is? Y'all, you would call them knuckleheads too if you knew what I was about to say. They had a campfire last night on the ground. You see the tall grass. There are no fire rings. There are no bare spots anywhere to be found. She said they're almost on the verge of a fire ban in the area, but obviously you don't want to have a fire in the middle of a tall grass field. Come on now. That's basic camping 101. But she was pleasant to them. She was pleasant to us. I think she was pleasant to them. She was very, very nice. So they've got to move, and it just goes to show you, this is what happens when you actually take care of a camping area, y'all. When the Forestry Service or whatever agency runs it works hand in hand with the people who stay here, you get a good experience. You get a good, well taken care of area, and this area is so well taken care of. She comes out and cleans up trash. She makes sure people politely know about the 14-day stay rule. This does my heart a lot of good because in a world where a lot of camping spots are getting shut down, places like this are working hard, y'all, to keep it open. I think another place like maybe Santa Fe could take examples from what they're doing here in the Bighorn National Forest. Good job.
And another note, I don't know if you mentioned the yak or illegal yak.
Oh yeah! And I said, were those yak or cows? They look like yak. She said, yeah, they're yak, and they're not supposed to be here. They're supposed to be on a private ranch, but the rancher kind of lets them go to and fro, so.
And so now they're moving, because they're serious. They only want you 300 feet or less from the main, 2-track road. Alright, y'all, they are really getting close to the road, so I don't think they're just moving spots. I think they're leaving.
Alright, y'all, we are taking a little field trip. Do you remember when we showed you our knucklehead neighbors who were camped in the wrong spot? And do you remember how we said that they got busted for having a campfire? Take a look at this and see if this makes any sense to you. Here's where they had their fire. And now pan around this area. Show them what kind of terrain we're in. What do y'all see? Put in the comments below if you see anything other than tall grass.
And let me bend down and show y'all how tall the grass is. This is the bottom. So I'd say what? This grass is a foot tall, or
Maybe foot and a half tall.
yeah.
All right, now back over here to where the so in all honesty, folks, does it look like it makes any sense at all to you to have a campfire right here amongst all of this grass? It didn't make any sense to the ranger. It certainly doesn't make any sense to me. And we have a good friend who is a firefighter. He fights wildfires with a helicopter. And I'm sure he would have a few choice words for any dope who would have a fire like this without any protection. There's no rocks, they didn't dig up the grass, not that you should, but they didn't do anything. They just stomped down the grass and there you go. All that's going to do is start wildfires. And in fact, what you don't know is north of here, in southern Montana, there are many wildfires right now. And I know this because we have an app that tells us so.
So, I mean, we saw them start the fire, like literally as soon as they rolled up, they unhitched and there went the fire. And it was about 8:30 at night. And I'm like, well, I mean, the grass was so tall and they weren't that close to us. I said, well, maybe it's just a propane fire. We wrote
it off.
We couldn't see or anything. And then Matthew said, well, I don't know what the rules are. I didn't ask about campfires. But when you come out here, you never see campfire rings. So I don't think they were permitted. But then the ranger came and she said, you're not allowed to have campfires out here because of the grass. And they also had a campfire. They just lit it in the grass.
And it's always a little bit windy up here, so it's just common sense. There are too many wildfires, too much destruction. A lot of it happens by nature. Some of it happens by neglect. We were in, I think it was Montana. We were somewhere last summer.
It was Montana.
Yeah, where the campsite next to us, they let the fire going. I'm not talking about roasting coals. I'm talking about flames, y'all. Flames were coming up and they evacuated their campsite. They were done. They were finished. Who cares if you just leave a fire burning? Like I said, our friend the firefighter would have a few choice words for numbskulls like this. If you know people who do that, give them an education. I mean, do it politely, but tell them don't do this. This land is too valuable to let it burn up from incompetence. The yak are back. And if that's a phrase you ever thought you'd say in your lifetime, I just got to say it. Isn't that cool? The yak are back. I'm going to zoom in as much as I can. I'm sorry when I zoom in this extreme, it gets a little fuzzy. But just so you know, these are yak. And one of them has a white bushy tail. These are yak from a private ranch. They are not supposed to be up here. The forest lady asked me to let her know if they come back. So, not being a goody-goody here, I'm just doing my doing my service to my national forest. How about that? But seriously, y'all, I asked if they were yak because I was just curious, and they said, yeah, but they're not supposed to be up there. The cattlemen are actually paying for grazing rights, not the yak owners. So they said, just give us a heads up if you see the yak. So here they are. I let them know. They said they should go get them rounded up. By the time they find the yak, who knows where they're going to be. It would be kind of cool to see a bunch of yak rounded up, but I thought I'd share it with y'all. Yak. Identity theft on the road can happen to you, and we know this because it just happened to us. I mean, y'all can really benefit from this. So what happens is every single day, we each have different things that we do, different responsibilities, and one of mine is every single morning I check all of our cards. Debit accounts, credit cards, whatever it is, I check them all because that's the only way you're going to know if something's going on, right? So I checked one of our accounts and it was our debit card, and I noticed a purchase on there, and I'm like, this is not a purchase we would have ever made, nor is it a place we've ever spent any money, especially not out of that account. So what happened?
And our brains immediately went to, oh no, it's our bank account. We have two, by the way. It's our bank account. We did not know how the purchase was made or what, how they got our information. And immediately Matthew thought, oh, we're going to have to close the bank account down, open up a new bank, and we're not anywhere near a location where
No.
this particular bank is. And I'm like, well, maybe they used a debit card. We didn't know which way they used to get our information. So
we didn't know if the money came right out of the account or out of the
Right.
card, or they wrote a fraudulent check, what they did.
So Matthew immediately went to the bank's information, tried to call them. They're like, guess what? You have to wait 15 minutes to talk to a person.
Mhm.
We're like mad. We want to talk to someone right now and get it taken care of. So he eventually called the fraudulent number and he was able to get someone right away. So that's a big tip. If you have an issue with either your credit card or your bank, they probably have a separate number for just the fraud.
And even in there, y'all, they have this ridiculous phone tree system. And I know why they do it. They do it because they want to minimize how much contact people have with humans, I guess. So I figured out that instead of listening to their stupid options, I just hit 0, and that got me to an operator or to a human. Well, I hit 0, and then you get more choices, and you know the game. So I got to a person, and they were very nice. They were very helpful, actually. But they did say one thing, that the charge was still pending, and they can't do anything, at least not for a debit card, until the charge had posted. So we had to wait until the next day.
And my thought was, it's pending, so take care of it before it goes through. I don't want this money, that we worked very hard for, to come out, and they just couldn't do anything about it. And then they did tell us more information. It was my card. But here's the kicker, y'all.
You're going to love this.
This card I just got a couple of months ago, because with every debit card or credit card, it expires after a certain amount of time, and then you have to get a new one and you have to activate it. It was in my wallet, in my purse. Me and Matthew never used this account to make purchases in stores or anything.
Nope, never.
So I don't know why I had it in my purse. I probably should have kept it elsewhere, like in the RV, but I'm not giving away too many safety issues here. But I didn't even take it out. How did they do it? And the lady said, well, they could have bumped into you or another, because we wound up talking to two different people, and another person said, well, you could hear a beep, like this other customer had a beep or something.
So what Sean's saying is, there's a scanner, and all of these tap and pay cards, the cards that have a nice little chip in it. So tap and pay, it's very convenient. I even use it because it's just convenient. But the cost to that is they can go right up to you with a scanner. And one of the ladies told us she had a customer who said, oh yeah, this guy walked by me and his pocket beeped. And 2 days later I noticed that I had a fraudulent charge. Well, they're not always going to beep. You're not always going to hear a noise. But you do a little research online and you find out that that's very, very common. So, what do? Here's one of your pro tips. And a pro tip does not come from us, because obviously we ain't the pros. So this is coming from the banker.
The first banker told us to go on Amazon, which we're in a place where we can't get packages, to get one of them. You know the initials better than I do. The
RFID blocking wallet, billfold, purse, whatever. Something that's RFID blocking.
And I said, well, I've heard of those little slips. And she said, yes, sometimes your card can fall out of those slips. So it's better just to get the wallet. And so, Matthew called around, and thankfully the campground we spent one night at is going to let us get some packages, because Buffalo has no Amazon lockers and no shipping places, right?
Not that I saw. They didn't have a UPS store. They have a FedEx drop box. You could do general delivery at the post office, but we're not fans of that. I know some of y'all are.
Yeah.
So anyways, this very, very nice campground said, sure. So we came to an arrangement, and now we get to order our RFID blocking stuff.
Well, the reason we don't choose post office either, because when you use Amazon, you don't know how it's going to be delivered.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
So anyways, so we each got a wallet that should be coming next week for our cards. We also went through our wallets and we're like, what do we not need to keep on our person? You don't want to walk with a bunch of cash, because then if your whole thing gets stolen, there goes all your cash. Are we going to have to go back to the old days where you write checks? No one likes to stand behind somebody writing a check. My mom still likes to write checks, and my dad used to, by the way, but I don't think we want to do that.
And that leads us to a second pro tip, and the second pro tip is what Sean just said. Go through your purse, go through your wallet, go through your billfold, and take out what you don't need. The third pro tip is, in most credit cards, in all of ours, I don't know about yours, but credit cards, debit cards, bank accounts, they should have something in, whether it's a phone app or whether you go on the old-fashioned desktop, they should have the means by which you can temporarily hit a button and turn it off. And I'm doing this because it's like a slider. Turn it off, or up and down, turn it off.
So,
and they have, I noticed on ours, they have it for international purchases and all purchases separately. So just know that there might be those two settings, and you should go in there, and if there's a card that you know you rarely ever use and you want to keep it with you, just turn it off, because even if it is, the number is swiped, they can't use it until you turn it on for 10 minutes, make your purchase, and turn it back off.
it's like that for the debit cards. I'm not sure about the credit
Some of the credit cards
Oh,
are like
okay.
that too, yes they are.
Well, she immediately canceled mine. I said, yeah, cancel it. And obviously, we're not in a place to get it. So they're just going to send it to our mailing address. And then
Right.
when we get to a place, I'll get another one. But I don't use it anyways. But so she canceled mine. Matthew immediately went and turned his off, both of them, and then I turned my other bank one off. So those are off. So unfortunately, y'all, I mean, you always hear about when you go to a gas station, because that's the biggest places people will put the skimmers on or something like that. And now you've got these tap and pay credit cards. So now they'll just walk by you, scan your wallet, you know, wherever you have it on your purse or on your purse. My purse never leaves my purse, and y'all probably see it hanging on me all the time. I never set it in the buggy. It is always on me. I'm very frustrated that we did everything, because we're very security minded, vigilant, and stuff like that. My purse is always with me. Matthew always has a hand on his wallet and stuff, and that someone can just literally walk by you in a store and just swipe your information, and we work our fingers to the bone, and everything is getting more expensive, and they're taking money that we worked so hard for, and we're just so frustrated about it.
Now, part of this is maybe a little bit my fault, because a long time ago I had this thought, RFID blocking, but then you dismiss it. You're like, nah, that'll never happen. Nobody's gonna do that. That's just this spy versus spy stuff. No, it's real. So, and there are genuine leather wallets, there are coin purses, there are ladies' wallets. If you like a traditional, what I'm going to call a men's style wallet, forgive me, I don't know what else to say about it, then there are all sorts of styles, all sorts of models and makes for that. Colors, it's not just something that looks like something you get out of the back of a magazine, a hard plastic, something nobody will ever use. No, they have all sorts of designer stuff. So really there was no excuse for us not to do this ahead of time, other than I just dismissed it.
And it happened to us, so now we're going to do it. And we will put the link of the ones that we bought, so you can kind of get an idea. You don't have to buy the ones that we bought, but I got a girly one and he got a man one. But anyways, just to give you an example of, you know, what we did. And so we called the bank today. Guess what? The charge went through, and we're not guaranteed to get the money back. They're going to send it to the fraud department. It can take up to 10 days. It sounds kind of promising that maybe we'll get the money back, but she couldn't promise that we would. And I said, well, how? I mean, they didn't physically have the card. And she said they don't have to have it, because whatever machine or whatever device they used got whatever information they needed from your card in order for them to make the purchase online. Ugh.
So another thing you can do long term, every day you should be checking your account. Somebody who's on your account should be checking it daily. But the other thing you can do long term is, and we're going to start doing this, is get your free credit report. If you don't give a rat's behind about what your credit score is, that's fine. Some people are like that. But if you do care about not paying for stuff you shouldn't be, then there might be credit accounts that you've even forgot about that people are using. So get your annual credit report. It's free, and it should tell you what's going on, your lines of credit, what kind of standing you're in, and that's just a long-term thing. But y'all, there are ways to minimize this. You can't ever prevent any crime from ever happening, but you can take some of the steps we've outlined and maybe make life a little bit better for you, maybe make it a little bit less likely to happen, or you can recover from it quicker.
So if any of y'all have had identity theft happen to y'all, please share in the comments below so people can, and what tips you learned so people
Yes.
can learn from the comments, from us, from y'all or whatever, because there might be something we're missing, like a red flag, or probably like, no, do this. We want to know because we thought we were being so careful, and someone just walked by and just stole my information, you know, and Matthew's keeping a check on his because we don't, you know, at one time I was just doing all the shopping by myself because he was hurt. So we don't know where our information got, or mine basically right now, stolen. So, and right now we don't have an update about if we're getting the money, but we will update y'all one way or the other, either in this episode or a future episode, if we got our money back.
And two more things. One thing is, whatever email accounts you have associated with your credit cards, debit cards, or whatever, make sure you've got a big password on there. It shouldn't be Fuzzy Bunny 1. That should not be your password.
Oh no, you just gave them an idea about what they could have their password. Fuzzy Bunny.
Yeah, don't Fuzzy Bunny should not be your password, or password should not be your password. 123 should not be your password. It should be, do your research. I'm not going to tell you what it should be. There are very good websites on Google that'll tell you what kind of passwords are strong passwords. So the other thing I want to mention is pray for the people who do this. And I'm really being sincere on this. If you pray for them, there is a chance that God could turn their lives around. They might open up, there might be something in their lives that might make them stop and think. And for every person who does this, whose lives get turned around, that's one more person in the kingdom of God. That's one more person who is not stealing other people's identities. And that's something that all of us should want to happen.